the Big 12 has some big time names this year, both freshmen, returners. We're going to break it all down for you next. Who to keep an eye on, what teams could be powerhouses kind of coming up next. Welcome to another episode of the No Ceilings Podcast. I'm Tyler Metcalf, joined as always by Tyler Rucker. Rucker, how are we doing?
I'm doing fantastic, Metcalf. The countdown marches on. Basketball fans, we're getting closer. I think as people will be listening to this, Metcalf, it's officially less than 2 weeks until NBA preseason. Yes, I'm that excited. Preseason basketball. I think we're nearing less than 40 days until college hoops is back. It's coming, folks.
Rapidly. And, in this downtime, thank God for Pablo Torre just doing incredible journalism and finding out more and more and more by the day. Pablo, stay away from us, please. But
hey, I don't throw around this word much, but shout out to Ignacio on our team who said it. Pablo is on a generational run right now. Guy is throwing out heaters. We do need to thank him as basketball fans because, as you said, he is keeping us alive during the graveyard of the NBA offseason. So, man, my head hurts from trying to track everything.
It would have either been this Clippers investigation and news or 20 straight days of what are the Warriors going to do with Jonathan Kuminga? I'll pass on that.
I love Kuminga going to battle, by the way. I'm on Kuminga's side right now. This is great. This is fantastic stuff. So, why we all love the NBA is not only just because of how awesome it is to watch professional basketball, but it is reality TV in so many ways for us. Like there's breaking news, there's ridiculous stories, there's rumors, there's gossip. This is just fueling the beast right now. So, don't get me started on the league. But... Yeah, just the highlight league. I was just about to say, don't get me started on Adam Silver and the, the Europe stuff. That actually is hurting my head, but I just need more of a in-depth breakdown on what's going on. So
just throwing ideas at the wall.
Exactly.
It's idea season. But we got a chock full episode. We're breaking down the Big 12 today, running through every team, alphabetical order, timestamps in the comments. So if you're here for one team and you're like, what are we doing? Go to the comments, check out the timestamps. They'll be there. And you can jump around and then check out whoever you want. But I highly recommend listening to all of it because we got some real deep cuts that we're going to dive into and get excited about. But we're going alphabetical order, which means, Rucker, we got to start out right away. Your Arizona Wildcats. Floor is yours. Where do you want to start with them?
Bear down, baby. This is going to be a fun episode because there's a lot of really ups and downs when it comes to the Big 12.
Not a whole lot of in between.
Not a lot of in between. I feel like it's either you're really excited or you're like, where are we going here? But Arizona's going to be fun. We can start with the big name. Koa Pete is going to be, I think, one of the top freshman prospects to kind of watch in this conference. I almost said division because I'm all over the place with basketball. I still go back and forth, Metcalf, about like what I think I'm at a point now with Koa Pete where I'm just like, let's just see what it looks like early on in the year because I think everyone's going to have some questions about, hey, is this a little bit of a tweener? We've talked about him on like previous pods about like, hey, is this an Aaron Gordon? And then you gave another Arizona Wildcat shout out, Derek Williams. I think I just kind of want to see, is the FIBA Koa Pete going to transfer to college hoops, or are we going to see someone that is trying to play bully ball a little bit too much and is going to be matched a little bit more, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I mean, I can already tell that this is going to be the guy all year. I'm like, I don't get it. I don't see it. And I want to. And I think he's going to be the toughest eval for me this year, at least from the big name incoming freshman, because the athletic tools rock. And when he's rolling and overpowering guys and rim running and slashing and being really dynamic and showing off his footwork with, getting to the rim on Euros and spin moves and then throwing down with the big poster dunk, it's kind of hard not to be like, this is fun. And then he sprinkles in some flashing stuff and some mid-range pull-up stuff, and then some weak side rim protection and defensive playmaking, and you're like, this rocks. And then you dive into the little things like the defensive awareness, the consistency, staying out of foul trouble, sliding his feet, committing to defensive fundamentals, and you start to lose me because I thought his defensive tape in high school and AAU was really bad. The defensive playmaking was fun, but it just seemed like he was going through the motions on that end of the floor. It was a lot better with Team USA, so I'm optimistic that we see that it was a setting and context type thing, and it improves a ton with Arizona. But even in a lot of those Team USA games during FIBA, he was in foul trouble a lot. So I don't know what to do with him.
It's a tough little, because I think you bring up great points because we saw Carter Bryant last year thrive defensively, but offensively wasn't just ready to go out of the gate. Or at least Tommy felt that way, Tommy Lloyd. So last year's team, I felt like had more of a veteran presence. This year's team feels younger.
Yeah.
So in a weird way, I'm like, they might have to give him some run early. Some of the vets coming back, Toby Awaka and Krivas, should be kind of their front court that should get a lot of run. Then you get young. Anthony Del Orso is probably, and Jaden Bradley are two, guards that are going to be getting a lot of minutes because they're older and Tommy's going to trust them early. Then it's just wide open to who really is going to get some early run with these freshmen. And there's a lot of talented guys. I just don't know how quickly they're going to be ready to go. But Pete, I think, is going to have obviously first chance, but Tommy Lloyd wants you to play defense. Tommy Lloyd wants you to be able to play team basketball offensively. You got to be able to do that. So, it's going to be really fascinating to kind of see how ready Pete is to contribute on both sides. I agree with you. I think he's going to be one of my toughest evals because we're going to have a lot of games where he's got 18 and 9, and you watch the film and it's, 8 of the points were in transition, and 6 of them were around the basket, and you're like, oh, we get 1 3-point jumper. So it's going to be a tough one, I think.
And then the outside shot just needs a lot of work too. And it seems like his hand placement is different a lot. Like he'll be on the side of the ball. I don't know. It seems like the outside shot almost needs to be entirely overhauled. There's some fun mid-range pull-up stuff with him. But when we talk about defense and shooting, like another incoming freshman, Braden Burries, I'm a little more excited about. I still have Pete higher at this point, but Burries two-way impact as a guard, and when he gets hot, he can fill up a stat sheet really quickly. I think there's some really fun passing stuff with him, some scoring versatility, plays some bully ball at that guard spot, just kind of streaky as a shooter.
Another one that I'm really fascinated to kind of see, because Burries was a late commit. It was a big get for Arizona when they got him. He was 12th overall out of high school when it came to ESPN's top 100. He's listed at 6'4", 205 by team websites. We always know how that works out, but a talented player that I watched my high school tape of him, and I feel like I'm just like, this is another wait and see. I just have simply guys that I watch with their high school tape where I'm like, just get me to college. I need to see what it looks like here, because I can't over analyze and freak out about high school tape. I think I get to a point where I'm like, I get the idea. Let's move on. All right. Like, this is where I'm starting with how I feel about you. But what about you? Any burning thoughts with Burries?
I think he's just more of that two guard. I'm really intrigued to see if they try and pivot him more into playing that backup point guard long term. Because Jaden Bradley, I'm assuming, is going to be given the ball and allowed to run the show. Because Del Orso is a shooting guard. Like, he's not initiating the offense. We know what he is. Awesome shooter, not a whole lot else. They have Evan Nelson coming in from Harvard, but he has some ball security issues. And not the most dynamic scorer, but some encouraging playmaking numbers. But he's also a lot smaller than Burries. So I think Burries is more of that traditional combo guard, that 1.5 type of guard, where he's not quite the shooter that you would want from a 2, not quite the playmaker that you would want from a 1, but is blending the two. And I think there's a real chance that he grows into that role and is able to take over some of those backup creation responsibilities, because when the passing's right, it's really fun, and he can get downhill a lot. He's really strong, not afraid of contact. So I'm just kind of intrigued to see how he's used.
Yeah, Tommy Lloyd's over the years played a little small too, with even putting Delorso at the 3 at times. That's not something I love, but
No.
I could see them maybe saying, "Hey, Burries has been playing so good. Maybe you could put him in the backcourt with Jaden Bradley. Maybe that's your rotation. You get some versatility with Kobe Pete at the 3. Maybe you could play Kobe. I still think he's gonna be more of like a 4, but you never know. This team's gonna be one of those wait and see to see the rotation. Probably a lot like last year where we were like, what is this rotation with Carter Bryant? Like, get him in. So
Yeah.
this one just feels different, this Wildcats team, because they're younger, which might be more fun, but it's just a lot of unknown right now. I think there's a lot of talent. We're just trying to kind of see what Tommy Lloyd does with it.
Is it weird for me to say that the guy that I'm most excited about on this Arizona team isn't anyone we've talked about yet, and is instead the ESPN's number 37th overall recruit, Dwayne Aristode? And apologies on pronunciation for any and all of these guys. If I'm wrong, please let me know. But Dwayne Aristode, I'm in love with this dude.
Okay, full disclosure to everyone. I was like keeping this one in the chamber. I was like, I don't know if I just didn't want to share it and get shot down with the no ceilings chat, or if I was like, hey, I need to actually do like another possessed deep dive to make sure I'm really serious on this one. But Metcalf the other day threw it to the group chat, and I just like flipped my desk with excitement. I love him. I think there's
He's so
something
much
here.
fun.
I watched him when he committed, and I was like, what? That's his ranking?
Yeah.
Like, he looks like a dog. And then I watched him closely, and I was like, there's stuff here. And I feel like me and you have kind of had that hot take of like, I might just be as excited as Koa Pete. And then you were like, I might be more. And I was like, I get it, because Metcalf just looks like he's a third-year NBA player by his body, his frame.
Yeah.
And then he can shoot. Like, hit me with it. You run with it. Like, what got you like, oh, I'm in?
Yeah, and he's listed at 6'7", 210. Love that. He is a menace on defense. Like, I was really worried about this Arizona team defensively after losing Carter Bryant, after losing KJ Lewis, after losing Henry Vesar. And obviously Aristode isn't going to cover up all of that, but I think he could cover up a lot of it. And if he's not starting at the 3 for the vast majority of this year, I don't know what we're doing. Because his defense is that good. The way he slides his feet, anticipates stuff, sits down in the stance, communicates off ball, rotates off ball. And then there's some really fun passing stuff with him too, not as a primary guy, but as someone who will cut back door and then no look a weak side defender and then dump it off to someone else, or, move defenders with his eyes in that secondary or tertiary role. I buy the spot up shot, not a whole lot of on ball creation there. Handle needs work, all of that kind of stuff, needs to get better as a movement shooter. But the 3-and-D baseline with him, I think, is incredibly high, and is, I think, one of the more bankable archetypes among this freshman class, where we're constantly looking at guys and going like, and already he feels equal parts safe and exciting.
Yeah, when you look into the player, you do what we do in the off season at No Ceilings. You dig deep. You try to find the background and like, okay, let me get caught up. What's the foundation here? You get excited. Also,
Yeah.
According to Arizona's website, we are pronouncing the last name correctly, Aristode.
Love that.
Which is a first
of
all time. But Dwayne was playing overseas. This is the stuff I kept looking into, and I was like, oh man, I'm getting excited. Every time I read something new, I get more excited. So he played in Spain for 3 years with Joventut. Came over to US. He also spent time playing with the Netherlands senior national team as a 17-year-old. Pretty good. He missed his senior year because he had an injury. So like, I always take that as like, okay, bummer about the injury, but like probably why you didn't create more noise, create more buzz, is because he missed the year. So, and Arizona has a fun fact that he has a 6'10" wingspan. Lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
good measurables. The 3D baseline, what you're saying is great. I just watching a lot of these high school kids and incoming freshmen, you can tell pretty quick who pops. Like on tape, you could tell like, whoa, okay, this is gonna be something. He was one that popped immediately. I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
you know when you're watching too, and it's like the first clip, and you're like, I really hope it's that guy. And then
Yeah.
he gets the ball, like shoots it, it's gorgeous. You're like, okay, that's a beast. So Aristo is firmly on my like watch list at the top of just like this could be something real quick. Because of the foundation, I like the background of like he has experience overseas playing in some tougher competition, and then you're coming stateside now and big time recruit. Like I just like this. This is a good foundation. So I think a lot of people are focusing on Pete. I think this is the one where I'm like, you got to keep an eye on this one.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I have him as like a top 15 guy right now, which might be a little spicy, but it's September, so deal with it. Anything else with Arizona?
No, there's a couple names that I don't think are going to be one and done, but City Gay is a name I would keep an eye on long term. Stretched out big, played overseas. I think that's a really fun project of potential to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
Might be a sophomore breakout guy, but his frame I think just needs to fill up. But you watch some of his international stuff, just stretched out center that's athletic, rim running, lob threat. Your boy with the T-Wolves, I hope are Beringer. I hope it's like City's becoming one of those versions of just go run hard, block everything, and dunk it. Like that's all he needs to do. But fun tools.
I actually kind of enjoyed a lot of what I saw from Bryce James as well. Not a one and done type guy. A lot of work to be done, specifically on the offensive end. But I like his defense. Really good rebounder. Smart passer. Handle needs to improve a ton. Shooting consistency needs to improve a ton. But someone I would expect probably gets minutes next year or the year after. Let's move on to Arizona State.
Do we have to?
It'll be a quick one. It won't be 15 minutes like Arizona, but yikes.
It's not because I'm an Arizona fan, by the way, folks. It's just because yikes.
Yeah. And they have one guy returning from last year, Trevor Best, a ton of incoming transfers, and the most intriguing incoming freshman for me is Giant Pitt, who we saw at Hoop Summit. He's okay. Or no, that's someone else. Never mind. Excuse me. Got my names mixed up. The most intriguing transfer, though, is Alan Makuba for me. I think coming over from Oakland, probably going to fill that Jaden Quaintance role, bully ball, really good rebounder, interior finisher, some fun defensive stuff with him. But I think this team could be really, really rough to watch.
Could be a tough one. It's also really tough for me with like Arizona State is probably like 20 minutes for me. And every time I'm just like, man, just no desire. I always wait for the schedule to bring could we get BYU here, please? I had Marcus Adams Jr. I thought was maybe one to keep an eye on. 6'8", around 200 pounds. He's going to be a junior this year from Cal State Northridge. Around 40% from deep, but that's about it. I had Makuba too. Sorry if I pronounced it wrong, but Dante Holloman, maybe. I don't know. It was a tough roster to look at. You're like, oh
yeah. And just, to bail myself out, Giant Pitt was at Hoop Summit. So I thought I had the names mixed up there, but fun rebounder. Offense needs a lot of work.
Yeah.
Sorry, ASU fans, but
yeah,
could be a tough year.
That's all I got. I'm sorry, ASU fans. I just it's a tough roster. It's a tough roster.
Okay, let's move on to Baylor. Another team that's, again, completely turned over their roster. For me, Tunde Yesufu, most intriguing incoming player. I hated the high school film, and it felt like a totally different person and player than what we saw in person at Hoop Summit. Where do you want to go with Baylor?
Why did you hate it? This is the first time I've heard it.
And the offensive stuff was kind of fun. The defense was an abject disaster. Like, he wasn't. Just the ball watching was offensive. Like there's some fun defensive playmaking stuff like that you could fill up a highlight tape with jumping passing lanes, weak side rim protection stuff. But I and when he was locked in on ball, there was some decent stuff there, but off ball, no communication of switches, would constantly lose his guy, and he would just like turn his entire body and just stare at the ball while his man was either cutting or relocating, and then he would get lost and then not really do anything about it. But I didn't see anything nearly like that at Hoop Summit. And, these games and that event are months apart. So what that tells me is it's an experience in coaching and development and attention to detail thing, which tends to be fixed with time. So even though I absolutely hated what I saw in the high school stuff, I'm really encouraged based on what we saw back in April and how quickly that advanced already and what that could look like 6 months from now after being in with Baylor for a year.
Yeah, I guess why, and everyone here would be like, what, why have you watched Rucker? I'm getting, what I do is I watch all of my returners. This is the time of the year to figure out like who I'm really keeping an eye on. I have a bunch of graphic stuff getting ready that I've been working on for like 3 weeks that is now forcing me to, now I have to watch high school film. I don't have a choice. So Tunde is going to be on my list because he's in one of the videos I'm putting up, but it's just interesting hearing you say that because the whole time you're talking, I'm like, oh, is this a superstar treatment that we always say, like the syndrome of I'm the superstar, I could just coast when I want? But
it felt like that. And it felt like an awesome athlete who could get buckets and was never held accountable or coached how to defend. Not trying to call out the coaching staff or anything that. But I think it's more a point of Tunde being that raw. And it's like, hey, this is high school ball. You're the best athlete out here. Go get buckets and we'll figure out the rest.
Yeah, it's never a slander to the coach because it's also like there's a mutual probable understanding with the coach and the player of like, you're not taking me out. So the coach is like, yeah, I'm not going to take you out. So I get it though. And that's why I like even how you put that of like, then we saw him months later at Hoop Summit and how much better he looked. So Scott Drew ain't going to let you play. You don't play defense, he will take you out. I've watched him do that of a bad shot in the first half. Keontae George, when I saw him in person, Keontae took an early pull and Scott just pulled, like, nope, tell him why he's out. So, and we could talk about the rest of the Baylor guys, but this is ASU fans. This is going to be a quick one too, because this roster isn't as exciting either. I have to get off of Tunde. I like a couple guys.
Still. I think there are a couple transfers we need to point out. Michael Radish averaged 16.9 at Oregon State last year. Here's one of the bigger name transfers. And then guys like Dan Skillings Jr. coming over from Cincinnati, I liked a lot last year. And hopefully Cameron Carr can at least play. He was a guy I really liked coming out of high school. 2 years ago now, and has just been buried on the bench at Tennessee for the last 2 years. I think he's dealing with some injury stuff there too, but he's just someone who's never gotten time and is one of those guys that I've always been really intrigued with. Hopefully he gets an opportunity, can stay healthy, all that kind of stuff. I think Skillings could surprise a lot of people. And then Radish is the kind of big name contributor and newcomer.
Skillings has been I saw him a couple years ago randomly when I was watching Cincinnati, and I was like, I like this kid a lot. Not now, but he's like, well, I want to keep an eye on him. So I still like the way he plays. Could be fun for Baylor. He should be a nice piece. Just a little bit of a Swiss Army knife. Man, I'm right there with you with Cameron Carr. Like, I'm pumped he's somewhere else because Tennessee, it was just like, this ain't working. But it's also like Baylor might have gotten another guy that's like finally someone that just could be a sharpshooter because he should be great for Tunde. You'd think. The only other name I wrote down was I may get a joke. We're officially old Metcalf. I wrote down Andre Iguodala Jr. That one really hurt when I saw that. It's like, oh God.
There have been more and more of those over the last couple of years. So it's like, oh no,
oh no, we're old.
That's and I think Iggy Jr. is he's a fun player, but definitely
Couple years.
a multi-year guy.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to BYU.
Let's get to the beast.
Anyone notable? I don't think so.
Let's talk about AJ.
AJ DeBonsa, 6'9" wing forward, potential first overall pick. Almost certainly a first round pick. That'd be surprising. Where do you want to go with AJ?
I don't know. We don't have to go too deep because we're going to be talking about AJ probably for the next 6 months, every bit we can. Part of the year where I'm starting to wonder if I'm overthinking, because I had Boozer 1, Peterson 2, AJ 3, and I weirdly hated putting him at 3. I wanted to do like 1A, 1B, 1C. I really like AJ. I think watching him against Nate Ament really got in my head because I was like, oh man, the defense is psycho level.
What I've been saying.
I know. So I'm really pumped to see what he does this year. You know what I'm rooting for is I think we've just been hyping him up forever, and I want him to just be like a madman right out of the gate. Just like
I want to see junior year of high school AJ.
Yeah. If you get that, if I get junior year of high school AJ, my board's gonna change fast. And I don't like to change my top 3 usually ever. I like to be really, really stubborn with that because those are the guys I watch the most because I'm obsessing, and I'm also the most patient with those. But like AJ, if I could see the switch, I'll be all in because that's the most dangerous upside in a good way.
Yeah.
That is a very scary player.
Yeah. Like my biggest gripe with him has been the shooting struggles and him never being a prolific shooter. But that's like, all right, well, he's in high school. He's getting double and triple teamed a lot. He's taking some of the most difficult shots of any high schooler in the world right now. And he's taking a lot of them. Even if it just gets to like league average, now we're combining it with the playmaking stuff and the rim pressure and the foul drawing and the defense and the rebounding. It's going to be fine. Like, and I just kind of have to keep reminding myself of that, of like, stop overthinking this. And I think he's going to be one of these guys where it's going to be really easy to pick a lot of his stuff to death of like, oh, but he didn't do this. And he turned into a little bit too much of a shot chucker here and there. It's like, he's also doing stuff that no one else in this draft class can and will, or even thinks about. So I still, I have him at 2. I still have him behind Darren, but like you were saying, it's like a 1A, 1B, 1C type of thing.
Yeah, the shot's really big for me this year with him because I just saw him at 2 days of practices back to back where I was like, he's by himself in shooting drills and couldn't make anything. I was like, what? This is so strange. And line drives and everything. So he's a high schooler. He's gonna figure it out. We'll wait and see. I'm not too worried about AJ. The talent's just undeniable. It's awesome. What else you got?
Let's talk about Robert Wright.
Let's talk about
the third. Transferring in from Baylor, freshman point guard. He's fun. Really shifty, really fun playmaker. Shooting needs a lot of work. Scoring efficiency needs a lot of work. Effective field goal of just 45.3 last year. True shooting percentage of 50, but an assist rate of 27. Turnover rate of 17.7. I think it's going to be I think he's going to be a really good fit for this more pro style BYU offense, facilitating for AJ and Richie Saunders and even a guy like Kiba Keita. I think Robert Wright was a huge get for BYU.
It was one of those ones I would not overlook this year. I think this one could really blossom. I know he's a little undersized. He's listed
like 6'1" or
6'1", 183 is what ESPN had him last year, but he had some big generous. Yeah, it might be generous. He had some big boy games last year, Metcalf. 22 against UConn, and then he had 22 and 24 in back-to-back games against at BYU and versus Kansas. 6 assists in both of those games. Really talented playmaker. One of those guys, I think every time you watch him, you find another level of appreciation for his game. Sort of spinning a hot take right now. Like, what if we're buzzing about him like we were Todd Pettiford last year?
He's got to shoot it like Todd.
He's got to shoot it like Todd, but I also think the playmaking's really good with Robert
Yeah.
Wright. I also just feel like he's one of those guys you watch and you're like, oh, this dude can just make an impact without, putting up big numbers. So I think he's one of my favorite transfer gets.
Yeah.
When BYU got him, I was like, to get him for AJ and that team is huge. We're going to talk about Richie Saunders, but like that's a legit trio right there.
Yeah.
It's a legit, really good trio that could carry you a long way.
Speaking of Richie.
Yeah.
Any chance that he's an actual NBA guy?
Yes.
Because last year his shooting and scoring numbers were bonkers. Effective field goal rate, 61.9, true shooting, a 65.1, 10.4 threes per 100 at 43.2%. Not bad.
I went to scout Arizona BYU in Tucson to watch Carter Bryant, Jaeger. I left that game jaw dropped about Richie Saunders. I said, Richie Saunders, he's probably not going this year, but like I have to have him firmly on the radar for next year. Because one, you're always looking for the specialists. He can shoot the crap out of it. He can get red hot in a hurry. But I said this last year, his pre-game routine was I've been watching guys in the NBA for years. It was one of the most impressive because he was pouring sweat. Everything was like 100 miles an hour, game rep, detailed shots he was getting in the game. I was like, this is very, very impressive. He's got an NBA body. It's in person. It's way more like muscle and stocky than you think. I think he could be an NBA guy for sure. A couple things need to get improved this year. I think he just needs to get a little bit of like in between game. And you know what I'm trying to say? Like when you're trying to get away from being just only a specialist. But he battles, he plays hard. I absolutely think so. He's either going to be a second round flyer that really could land with a perfect team, or his game takes another step this year. And I don't know, maybe we're talking about him as like a sneaky end of the first round guy. If BYU has a perfect lengthy run and he's on fire, you never know, Metcalf. But those numbers are impressive.
Yeah.
And, it's not like he's like, an undersized 2. Like he's got good size. He's got good strength, plays tough as nails.
And he's only going to have more eyes on him this year.
Yeah.
Anything else with BYU?
Yeah. Kennard Davis, I think has a chance to be one of the best transfers in this conference.
I love that.
If you haven't watched enough of him, Metcalf, I think if BYU is going to have a shot at making a real run of this, it's going to be because of Kennard Davis. He's like, he's going to be their Lou Dort.
Okay.
He's just like possessed defensive maniac. Plays really, really tough. He's coming from Southern Illinois. I think it's a really important, like, he's not going to put up the biggest numbers ever, but like he's probably going to be like him and AJ could be the Bash brothers on defense, just raining hell. So I think that's one to keep an eye on.
Love that.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to Cincinnati. I think Sean Abayev, ESPN's 26th rated incoming freshman. I think he's the most intriguing name for me on this list. Lefty, sniper, insane shooter, really, really fun. Both spotting up, off movement, on the ball, awesome scoring touch in all 3 levels, and then some really fun passing stuff too. More as a connective guy where he can use that off-ball movement and shooting gravity to then attack closeouts and create in those situations. But there's some really fun stuff with the 3-level scoring, the off-ball movement, the ability to get downhill, and then also incorporate some really high-level playmaking reads.
Sean's pretty high on my list. I'm excited to see what he could do. I think when we saw him in person, we were like, this is either going to be a very, very quick fun one and done guy, or this is going to be like the top of the list sophomore breakout guys.
Yeah.
But he can play and he's got good size. He just checks a lot of boxes in a hurry. Trying to think who else I had written down here.
And just to
Go
go
ahead.
along with his, fellow incoming freshman, Keyshawn Tillery,
Mhm.
number 51 on ESPN. Not a great shooter, needs a lot of work, but the way that he can create for others and get downhill, get to the rim, collapse the defense, get paint touches, I think is going to make life really, really easy for Abayev in that off-ball scoring role, along with some of the other guys I'm sure you were just about to mention before
No, Tillery was a
so
good one.
promptly cut
It's
you off.
okay. It's okay. It's okay. That's what we do. No personal, punches taken.
Oh, no,
Baba
no, it was
Miller,
personal.
good friend Baba Miller is making the rounds. He's at Cincinnati this year. Jokes aside, there's still so much talent. There's so much
He put up
intrigue.
good numbers last
Put
year.
up good numbers. Should be a fun one to see what he can do. And then
Cincinnati, this roster feels like the dumping ground or it's like the island of misfit toys of like, oh, that's where this guy ended up.
but it
Where there
also
are guys on
feels
like
like
their third team in 3 years.
yeah, but it also feels like it's like, well, this could weirdly work.
Mhm.
Like Abayev is going to be a 6'7" guard. There, Baba Miller is just an alien with his length, and then you get here we go, Metcalf, my first mistake of the year. Mustafa Thiam is a center coming from UCF.
I kind of like some of his stuff last year.
He's a giant.
He's huge.
He's gigantic. He was listed at 7'2", 235 last year. Cincinnati's website has him at 7'2", 250. That's plus 15 pounds. And he had 2.6 blocks per game.
Yeah, block rate
it's
of
definitely on
9.1.
he's definitely on my radar. Anytime you're that size. So like they could just be gigantically huge team that you don't want to go deal with, which is going to be funny. But yeah, lobs from Abayev to Mustafa is going to be incredible. But
yeah,
it is an island of misfit toys, but it's also like with an asterisk on it because you're like, this could just be fun.
It could be a lot of fun. And then you have guys like Sincere Harris, who's an insane defender, can't do much of anything on offense up to this point. Transferring in from West Virginia, previously at Illinois. Everyone's favorite, Kirk Risa, joining the party as well. Jalen Celestine coming over from Baylor, where he took 11.2 threes per 100. So he's going to shoot it. I think they have some fun blends of floor spacing with Krisa, Celestine, Abayev, and athleticism and size with Abayev, Miller, Thiam, Harris. They could be oddly entertaining.
No, I sorry, just cut out for a sec,
No, you're
but
good.
it's fun. It's just gonna be really crazy. It's so funny that Kirk Reese said, like, I saw a picture of him on a timeline on X, and I was just like, gosh, where is he? Like, it's just death, taxes, and Kirk Reese.
He'll shoot it.
He'll shoot it.
Let's move on to Colorado. This could be tough again. I would say the one name that I am now recently very excited about, who I was not a week ago, Isaiah Johnson, incoming freshman, not ranked. I think he was a 3-star lefty point guard. Really, really fun. He was their leading scorer against Australia like a month or two ago when they scrimmaged. It wasn't Australia's A team, but they had some senior team players out there. He's really fun.
Metcalf and I were joking before we hit record, and this is so true. For anyone that scouts, for anyone that evaluates, for anyone that, just is a fan of the draft, this happens all the time to us. And I think it happens to everyone. You'll make a list of like 10 guys you're wanting to watch. And, all of a sudden you get to the third guy and someone completely random jumps out. And then you all of a sudden spend like 2 hours watching that guy and don't get to anybody else. So Metcalf was telling me that's what happened with Isaiah Johnson. I was like, that happens to me all the time. It drives me crazy, but it's also great because you're like, I found something. It catches my eye. Let me see if this is really something that I believe in. And I was pumped when you brought it up because I was like, Isaiah Johnson, I got to go watch him now, because anytime I could find someone on a different team that I can't, pinpoint to start the year, I'm like, yeah, all right, I have a reason now to watch Colorado. But yeah, I mean, Bang it Dak and Barrington Hargress. Sorry for pronunciation. Two guys that I wrote down, but Isaiah Johnson, you got my attention. I'm intrigued now.
Yeah, and I would be absolutely stunned if he's a one and done guy. Not saying that at all. He's a multi-year guy. Listed at 6'1", 170, needs to get bigger. But his high school film, I mean, he's super quick, encouraging shot, big time playmaker, scorer. The handle is awesome. Just those hang dribbles and crossovers, the way he explodes out of them, gets to the line, initiates contact despite a more slender frame. He also over dribbled it a lot, and that was really concerning for me because I'm like, oh man, that's not going to fly at the next level. But then you watch that Colorado versus Australia game, and they were playing him almost as a two guard a lot of the time too, so he was able to be more of a spot up shooter, and you could see him play within himself in that role too. So I'm just really intrigued to see how his season goes because I think there's a fun foundation for at the very least a super fun, shifty, creative college guard.
I like that. And if he doesn't play much, we'll all come back to this pod and quote it and like NBA Central or something. Houston, you want to move on to Houston?
Let's do
It's
it.
going to be a lengthy part.
Yeah.
A lot of names I'm excited about, and some I'm not sold on. Where would you like to start?
You tell me.
I haven't watched enough. I don't know if I'm in on. There seems like there's some buzz about Kingston Flemings, and my question is, how is he getting on the court? And I don't mean that against Kingston, but it's like Milos and Sharp are gonna, be Bulldogs, all year. They're gonna play the exact way Sampson wants. They're both returning. They've been in that system. They're tough as crap. So I think Kingston's got some buzz for everyone that's following up. Kingston Fleming's 22nd in ESPN's top 100. A bit of a bucket getter, would you say? Like that's his kind of his sell pitch. So I think people are trying to intrigue, like, well, he could be a first rounder, and I'm like, I don't know about that. Seems like maybe this is a guard you're hopefully grooming for the breakout sophomore year.
Yeah, I think he's the sophomore year guy where it's like, hey, learn behind Uzan and Sharp this year, learn how to play, learn what we want from you as a point guard, probably get some exposure this year. There's some really, really fun stuff with his game, especially with how quick he is, how easy getting to the rim is for him. There's some really fun playmaking stuff. Just kind of a streaky shooter. And with his high school stuff, it was the film I had access to. It was some lower level competition or just like mediocre. It's like, okay, you look incredible. I don't know what to do with this necessarily, especially since the last game that I watched was against Long Island, where the Kyan Anthony, the Caden Mingo, Nigel James team, a little better competition, and he really struggled with ball security, didn't shoot well, scoring was super inefficient. So I think he's got some really fun stuff, has to get better defensively, and just a little more consistent as a shooter. But there's some really, really fun tools there as a sophomore, junior breakout.
Like that. Well, what else are you thinking for Houston?
Let's stick with the freshman with Senek and Harwell. Who do you want to go with?
I think Senek's going to be the prize possession of draft fans. I think it could go either way pretty quick. I think I would be surprised if he's not a one and done Metcalf just because of, like, me and you have talked about it, like, hey, maybe this could be a multiple year guy, and just saying like, oh, he's 2 years and done 100%. But the more I've been thinking, I think I've been looking at the depth of the big man class. I think if Senek just buys in and is solid, and you can play him at the end of games, and he's doing what Sampson wants, he's playing good defense. Like I keep telling you, like, I think that's going to be more important than just the production. I think if Sampson shows trust in a freshman big man, I think that's going to be eye candy to NBA scouts, if that makes sense.
And I have a lot of concerns about that. Because his highlight film, like if you only watch the highlights of him,
yes,
you're like, why is this dude not top 5?
Right.
Because like when it's right, holy crap, is it right?
It's the Kai
I
Jones thing where everyone watched the highlights and they're like, "This is a Hall of Fame basketball player." And you're like, "Okay,
and
now let's watch the game." Kai
and
Jones
that's what
hitting
I struggle
strays.
with,
Yeah.
where it's like, okay, is this just because you're in high school? And it's like, all right, whatever. Like I'm done with high school. Let's get going. Uh, Houston's not going to deal with that. So you better buy in. You better buy in quickly. My hope is that he does, because the foundation of who he is as a shooter, I 1000% buy him as a shooter. The defensive playmaking with specifically the rim protection and the rebounding rocks. Really, really like that. But it's all the little things. Like when we talk about Cam Boozer already mastering the little things and not having to, where he may not have the sexiest highlight tape because he's already in position and he's cutting off stuff before it even gets going. Senek almost always feels like he's behind and having to prevent something that's already in motion. Um, and just that the slow processing speed on defense, the really sloppy closeouts, the inconsistent fundamentals, I really worry about it. Now, I do think he's going to a perfect situation to not only learn and improve those things, but also have a lot of it covered up by having Jojo Tugler as the primary defensive center there, having Khalifa Sacco, 6'11 transfer from Sam Houston State, who has some encouraging block and rebounding numbers as well. So I think they're going to play him mostly as a 4, but that also means he may have to defend more in space. And if the defensive footwork isn't consistently there, where, if he's having to be that low man, if they're having Jojo Tugler try and blitz pick and roll and stuff and, use his freakish length and athleticism to disrupt ball handlers and then have Senek roam that baseline, theoretically, it sounds awesome. But that's also going to require him to be exactly where he needs to be every single time and then close out on, those skip passes to the corners under control. So I want it to work really, really badly, but part of me is also like, what if this is just like Tyler Smith with a better PR department?
Well, when we saw him in person, I think the first day of practice, you were like, "I don't know," and I was like, "I think it's Khalil Ware." And then I feel like you looked at me and you're like, "Light bulb." You're like, "Okay, I get it now." And I wasn't trying to say like a 1-for-1. I was just like, the idea is Khalil Ware, and you're like, "Okay, I see what you're saying now." He was sixth in ESPN's top 100. It's not just you. I've asked around and people are like, you will see him at one event and be like, "Oh my gosh, he should be up in the top 4 conversation."
Yeah.
And then you'll see him in another one and be like, late first, maybe. So it's the inconsistency is the biggest thing, I think, with Sanak is what everyone wants to see. Can this be a consistent player? I think you're spot on. You're cooking with the Jojo Tugler is going to hide a lot for him. And we haven't even talked about Tugler, but like he's got a big year coming up where like he needs to prove he can be a little bit more offensively well-rounded, if you want to put it that way, because of how special he is defensively. But you're right. Samson, they won't wait. You either buy in defensively or you don't play. They will get, a senior that's 6'7" to step in and play his cojones off. Yeah, I don't know. It's just that one's really interesting for me. I think Sanak has a perfect route to really cement himself as like one of the best bigs in this class, and he doesn't have to do much. I really do believe that. I think he just has to be consistent and one of those guys, probably Metcalf, that looks better analytically this year than production. Because Houston is not afraid to win 50-48. Like they're not afraid to make it a slugfest. So like, I guess I'm just not anyone that goes to Houston. I'm not expecting them to put up jaw-dropping numbers.
No,
I think it's the tape's more important.
If he averages like 8 and 5, but the little things look significantly better, that's going to get me more excited than if it was at 17 and 8. Great numbers, but then it's just all flash and no substance. And it's like, that's not going to fly. So I would almost rather have the numbers, like the raw box score numbers, be a little worse, but the tape and the fundamentals and the impact be better. But
I guess people are going to hear that and think it's insane, but I completely agree. I think it's such a unique situation, I think, for a prospect. Like when he committed there, when I first saw him in person and I looked down at my sheet and I was like, oh, Houston, heck yeah. Like I was so
Yeah.
pumped because
Yes.
I was like,
Agreed.
this is where I want a top big man prospect to go.
Yeah.
So I think evaluating him this year, I'm like, I'm more in on the tape than ever.
Yeah.
Because I'm not expecting him to have 25 and 12, where if he went somewhere else and they were just like, we're feeding it to Chris in the post. I'm wanting just give me like the 8 and 8 with 3 blocks, or you made it. Show me consistency with the tape. Show me the defensive rotations, the awareness. You're not caught ball watching. Show me the little things, like you said. I think that's put perfectly. And he's going to have some big games. But I just want him to show up when they're playing tough people. I think that's the big stuff.
Yeah. Isaiah Harwell, number 14, incoming freshman. Intrigued. I think the more I watch, I think the more he's going to be a multi-year guy. Awesome shooter, really by the spot up shooting. And I think there's some, ideally, if everything goes right, I think there's some incredible lineups of Uzan, Sharp, Harwell, Senek, and Tugler that Houston could roll out. That could be an absolute nightmare for teams. But I do have some hesitations with Harwell's lack of burst, on ball creation kind of stuff. And I like a lot of the defense, but he's also a little prone to getting in foul trouble. So a little less excited than I was after McDonald's.
I feel like he needs to sponge up as much Emmanuel Sharp as he possibly can.
Yes.
And I'm not trying to say that's a bad way, but like Harwell as a sophomore could be like a supercharged Emmanuel Sharp with floor space. Like he could be a very nasty 3-and-D to build off of if he like bought in, because he's like what 6'6", 220. Like he's built. He is a big, stocky wing. But I understand what you're saying. I think he's right now a bit of a floor spacer that needs the in-between game to develop a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, and Houston has him listed at 6'6", 220. Where is...
We saw him in person. He was
like he's
large man.
Really good size. I'm trying to find Sharp, who
and
I know
I'm not
is
saying
smaller.
He's not talented enough to be a one and done, but I'm just saying like he seems like a sophomore. Oh, he's in the lottery firmly.
Yes. Yeah, because like right now, like I think his elite skill is the spot up shooting. After that, I think there's a pretty steep drop off. Like I think the defense is bankable. Like I buy the defense, but I also need to see a little more. And then after that, I'm like, I'm just not totally confident what else you're giving. But if he can prove that maybe that defense gets to near an elite skill for him, then I think the conversation as a one and done guy gets a little more serious.
Yeah, we're gonna know pretty quick. I think more with him, we're gonna know pretty quick early on. Just role situation, like we'll find out.
Returners: Emmanuel Sharp, Milos Uzan, Jojo Tugler are the big ones.
They're gonna be very good, folks.
Yeah, shocker.
They're gonna be very, very good. Very nasty.
From a draft perspective, any of those guys move you at all?
They're all value guys to me. I think they're all eye of the beholder. Like a certain team's going to value them way more.
Yeah.
And I'm not meaning that as an insult, but like Jojo Tugler to a team is going to be really desirable if like they have a good center, but they could use a nasty, like if they have a lot of offensive firepower, but you could use a nasty defender. Milos is probably one. I think teams will be a lot higher than we realize. I think I had heard some buzz that teams are getting a real excited late rush before last year's drafts. I'm happy he went back. Sharp would be someone I would want to try to steal in the second round because I think he could just play. Wish he was like 6'4", 6'5", but
Houston has him listed at 6'3", 210,
which is scary because it's like 6'2" and a quarter. I like him though. Every time I watch him, I'm like, this is a guy that you need to win a title.
And he's in range the second he crosses half court. But it's like, man, I wish you were like 3 inches taller or a significantly better ball handler. I really like him though. I think he's a much, much better defender than he gets credit for too.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, Sharp, I would be screaming to use a two-way on him.
Yeah.
If I was an NBA team, because I'd be like, I think this is be a two-way guy that we would be like, we need him on our roster.
Like, why couldn't he be Malik Beasley?
Right. Or just the tough rotation depth piece where you're like
Gabe Vincent.
Yeah, like middle of the year, we're banged up. Sharp comes in to play good defense. You pick up I think he's a good defender.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
so
strong as shit.
I like him. Milos, sorry, go ahead.
Shot really well last year. I think it's like 42% on okay volume. Has to show a little more getting to the rim. I think that would be my big wish list item for him is like get into the paint, get to the rim, draw some more fouls, be a little more physical. Because I think he's shown that he can be a competent outside shooter, but if he can get into the paint, boost those playmaking numbers a little bit, then I think like early second round, it won't shock me if we get some Andrew Nemhard type vibes from him.
I think a big year for him. I think he could take another step forward. I mean, if you don't remember him as a young prospect, like early Oklahoma days, like Milos has some serious playmaking vision. I love when guys go to Houston because I think they start to piece other parts of their game together, and then you start to see it all come at once. And I feel like the finishing is a big part for him. If he can take that next step where like you have the playmaking, you have the outside shot, he's shown to get a lot tougher defensively. I like the Nemhart call out. I think there's the idea of like TJ McConnell. You get the veteran guard in to help out early. I think the big year for him. I think if he takes a big step, they're going to be a very, very tough team to deal with.
Agreed. Let's move on to Iowa State. Lost Curtis Jones, Keyshawn Gilbert, returning a bunch of their core, though, and Joshua Jefferson, Milan Momcilovic, Tamin Lipsey. Couple intriguing top 100 incoming recruits from the Wisconsin area, Jamarian Bateman, Xavier Mitchell. I think those are more multi-year guys, though. Where are you at with Iowa State?
I've got three guys that I've always kind of liked, but I want to love, and I feel like I can never take that next leap. But you named them Jefferson, Momcilovic, and Lipsey. I've always liked Lipsey because he just plays so scrappy and tough.
Yeah.
But all those guys, I think, need to take another step. I think Jefferson's underrated, underappreciated big that you kind of just always want another level of his game.
I had him as like a top 50 guy last year. I was like, man, he's not the sexiest, but like he rebounds, he defends. He's a really good passer too. So it's
does a
all
lot
right,
of things good.
What else are you? What's the big leap this year?
Yeah,
there has to be something. What is it?
He needs to be more, I think, of an offensive guy. He needs like one more thing to his game because
like
he
if
does
the
a
pick
lot
and
of
pop
things
stuff
good.
really took a leap this year, then I think it's pretty fun.
Momcilovic has games where you're like, oh my gosh, this is a first rounder. Then he has games where I'm like, I didn't know he's been on the court for the last 5 minutes. And he is like, me and him have the same tan, Metcalf. So like, it's hard for him to be a ghost on the court, but like, he's got some stuff in his game offensively where you're like, oh my goodness, but it's just consistency, I think, for him.
I've always struggled with him. I've never really.
You don't see it until he gets on a little heater in a game, and when he's on that heater, you're like, oh my.
Yeah, but it's like 1 out of every 8 games.
That's why he's going back to school for
fair.
But I think those are the three. Iowa State needs them to take a leap. They need 2 of those guys to take a leap at least.
Yeah. Couple transfers to Eric Mulder. I think is kind of interesting coming over from Purdue Fort Wayne. 6'8" senior, does a lot of similar things to Jefferson and just kind of the way he operates. So curious to see how they roll him out, but really good interior finisher, rebounder. And then Blake Buchanan coming over from Virginia was one that kind of caught my eye. Didn't do much with Virginia last year, but saw him at Hoop Summit. Really fun athlete, some really encouraging defensive stuff. So just excited to just kind of keep an eye on him.
That's a good one. I like that. That's a good shout. Anyone else?
No, you good for Kansas?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, Darren Peterson, for me, he's the best player in this draft as of November 18th, or not November, September 18th.
Gosh, I almost had a heart attack. If that was true, I was gonna be like, "What? No, we got the big board." Darren's a bad man. Darren's a bad man. We're gonna talk about him a lot, so I don't know if we need to go super deep. But
well, yeah, of course we do.
Okay, fine. I'm terrified always. We got the Field of 68 pod this year. Corey made a great point of on that pod with the three of us talking about like scared of Darren being productive at Kansas. And it's always my serious fear is Bill Self gets guys to buy in and play the right way and get them ready as a pros. But I always hate that like I watch games and I'm like, would you feed the best player in your team the ball? Like you need him to score 30. Stop trying to have him play the right way. Like, so I wonder if Darren's going to put up that good of numbers this year, but I also look at the roster and I'm like, they better hope Darren puts up good numbers this year. They need it.
It's not my favorite Kansas roster. We'll get into some more of the freshmen in a second because I think there are a couple intriguing guys. But they're betting a lot on Elmarco Jackson being healthy. I was intrigued with Elmarco as a freshman. Hated that he blew his knee out. Hopefully he's healthy, but I'm intrigued by Flory. Very excited to see what kind of leap he takes. But still, like last year, he was super raw and chaotic. And there are games that he took over defensively and with his rim running and stuff. But he's got a long way to go. Bryson Tiller was out all last year.
I'm so excited
to see what he looks like. We were really intrigued with him before he got hurt, but how is that injury going to affect him? So two of their four main guys returning are coming off of serious season-ending injuries. So it's a lot to ask.
A lot of questions everywhere. It's banking on real big leaps. I like Flory too. I don't think last year there was some people that got to like, hey, this could be a first rounder. I was like, oh, I'm not there yet. Let's calm down a second. But
yeah,
there's some fun tools there. There's, I need to see what's developing with his game. Elmarco, I like his game, but it's a big if still.
Yeah.
Tiller's the wild card because a couple of years ago, I think Corey and Steven were at the OTE Pro Day and they streamed it. So I watched from the couch while, we had soldiers on ground because that's what I like to do. Wish I was there. And I was like, hey, does Tiller look as good in person as he does on and they're like, yes. So that's my one I'm really keeping an eye on as, I guess, quote, returners, because I think that could be one that is really going to shock some people because he's just a force. I hope he's healthy and ready to roll. But freshman that you said you liked, hit me with it.
Samus Calderon and Cole Rosario, both with OTE this last year. Samus ended up as the 87th incoming freshman. Cole Rosario is ESPN 70th. Calderon has some really fun ball handling, slashing, passing stuff to his game. Good rebounder, good athlete. The handle and playmaking at his position really popped for me, though. Defense needs some work, but I kind of buy a lot of the offensive stuff.
It's sort of like my darling in the dark of like, I might be lurking on this one. Who just tweeted? Frashilla, I think, went to practice and like shouted him out of like, this is a legit talent. And I don't know. I'm intrigued. Kansas website says he has a 7'2" wingspan, so I'm even more intrigued with that. I also like when they do the questions and they said, tell us about your favorite basketball moment as a player or fan. And he said, every time I've played for my national team. So I'm like, okay, I'm in. Cool. I'm in already on this kid. There's just some fun tools. Someone from this Kansas team is going to emerge alongside Darren. Darren's going to make someone look really good. So it's going to be interesting to see who steps up. But I think like Tiller and Calderon are kind of the two, like, oh, they're not getting enough buzz, but these could be the guys that really make some noise. It's tough when you have the juggernaut prospect and you're just like, everyone else is kind of up in the air. You don't know what you're going to get.
I think Cole Rosario could if he gets minutes, I think he could be one of those guys too. Good size, good off ball shooter, scorer, cutter, mover, all that kind of stuff. Not a whole lot in terms of on ball creation. So it's like, all right, when he gets run off the line, what's going to happen? But I'm intrigued, at least long term. And then Melvin Council Jr. transferring in from St. Bonaventure, I'm guessing will take on a lot of those traditional point guard duties. He's exactly how Bill Self loves his point guards. Can't shoot. So really intriguing, playmaking efficiency numbers last year. An assist rate 23.5, turnover rate of just 12.4. So he'll take care of the ball. Shot just 29.8% on lowish volume last year from three. So we'll see. Anything else with Kansas?
No.
All right. Kansas State. Just living in the transfer portal again. Biggest names for me: PJ Haggerty, Abdi Bashir Jr. coming over from Monmouth, PJ Haggerty from Memphis. That's kind of it for me. I'm not super pumped about this team.
Bashir should be a fun one. He was getting really hot at the end of the year, just putting up some good numbers. So it's fun when those guys like, all right, let's see what you can do when you go up. Haggerty's wild, man. I don't know what to do with Haggerty. Every time I look at his numbers and I'm like, what in the world? That good? And then you just watch, I feel like all of a sudden then the next game he'll have 5 steals and you're just like, what in the world? I also think his transfer process was the longest portal process I've ever noticed. I feel like every week it was a new Haggerty team.
Yeah, and I think he's just going to be one of those really fun, shifty, chaotic college guards because he is smaller, unfortunately, and doesn't really shoot it a whole lot. I won't classify him as a bad shooter, just meh. He gets downhill and draws a ton of fouls and is a really fun, shifty scorer, defensive playmaker. I don't know. I'm not holding my breath.
Seems like a 2 stuck in a 1's body.
I think he's going to have an incredible career overseas, and I don't mean that to sound as the insult that it might.
He'll get a shot at the next level. I feel like I'd be head over heels if he was 6'5".
Oh, yeah.
But if he's going to be 6, he's listed at 6'3", 191 last year. I'm sure Kansas State's going to have him at 6'4" because that's how this works. I don't know. I'm open-minded, though. Very open-minded.
Bashir, I need to see a lot more from him because there was a stretch last year where everyone's like 6'7" sniper. Everyone's sleeping on him. He's, the next Cam Johnson. And it's like, well, maybe not. Super skinny. 18 threes per 100 is an absurd number. Shot 38%. Good enough at that volume that he's an awesome shooter. I just don't know what else he does because he doesn't create on ball. He doesn't get to the line. He doesn't score inside. He doesn't rebound. He doesn't really defend. I hope it works. 6'7" shooters, love it, but I need something else.
Yeah, and for everyone that if you're like, hey, he creates because he had this many points per game, it's like, okay, now you're going to go up in competition, so that's going to go down a little bit, but you got to be able to do something else. If you're a sniper, my biggest thing is if you take away the best part of their game, what do they bring to the table next? It's like you need to be able to bring something else. So, a lot of these guys that are transferring, I'm always wait and see mode. I can be like, hey, I really like the tape, but you were doing that lower level. Let's see what you can do when you go up. So a lot of scouts loved Yoxel last year, and they're like, I'd like him to go up still.
Yeah.
I was like, really? UAB wasn't enough for you? And it's like, no, I'd like him to go up, So we'll wait and see. But yeah, that's all I got for Kansas State.
All right. Oklahoma State should probably be another quick one. Anthony Roy transferring in from Green Bay, where he averaged 25.7 points last year, I think is kind of intriguing. Maybe just as a college guy, but fun bucket getter, some intriguing, encouraging playmaking stuff with him. Big time volume shooter too. 17.7 threes per 100 at 43.2%. True shooting percentage 67.9, assist rate of 26.6, turnover rate of 14.7. So we get the high volume, efficient 3-point shooting with some encouraging playmaking stuff too. big jump from the Horizon League with Green Bay, but upperclassman, older guy who could put up some pretty big numbers. And then Victorious Miller transferring in from LSU. I was kind of intrigued with him coming out of high school.
Yeah.
Tough year last year, though.
Miller has some flashes where you get really intrigued fast and then those fades pretty quick. So sometimes we just need a new place. So I'm excited to kind of keep a track on him to start the year. I had Isaiah Coleman. He was at Seton Hall last year, was a sophomore, 6'5", 15 a game. Not the efficiency I'd like to see, but that's why you keep an eye on him. So it's no shout to the Oklahoma State diehards. Go Cowboys. What is it? Go Pokes, I think is what they say. But it's just a struggling roster. Anthony Roy is probably going to try to average 30 a game.
And he could. It'd be fun. I hope he does.
It will be fun. Yeah. It should be fun in this conference. Robert Wright chasing around Anthony Roy, who's trying to have 38, is funny basketball.
Why not? TCU, another one where I'm like, Caden Edwards, ESPN 60th ranked incoming freshman. Intriguing long-term off-ball shooting guard. Fun lefty shooter. Real quick trigger, but I struggle with the rest of this roster.
Yeah, I mean, Tanner Toolson from Utah Valley will be fun. 6'5", 200. He'll be a junior. Shoot it a little bit. I'm trying to be trying to be honest with you guys. Jaden Pierre from Providence should be solid. David Punch is one of the best returning names I've ever seen. So
that's one of those last names where you're like, really? You just went with David, huh?
Yeah. Like really? That's out of all of it. But yeah, another one of those teams where there's always these teams where coming into the year, they're not sexy when it comes to like NBA prospects right away, but that does not mean they're not going to be a good team. There's always these scrappy, like Texas A&M last year. I was like, I'd love to fall in one prospect on this team. And then you watch them around the tournament and you're like, I would not want to deal with Texas A&M. Like, Mississippi State, I feel like was that way last year, although we had a couple guys we were intrigued with. It's just, there's always these scrappy teams. So maybe TCU is that, but I think Caden Edwards is the big name recruit, I guess. To keep an eye on.
Long term out of Duncanville, fun shooter, but has a ways to go. Texas Tech, though, I think could be one of the better teams in this conference, mainly because of two of their big returners, JT Toppin, Christian Anderson. I know Loan Watts has some fans, but I think Toppin and Anderson, for me, are the big names, both from an NBA draft and college basketball perspective. Toppin was one of the fringe guys last year on whether or not he was going to return or not. Ended up returning. I think that was the right call. Made a lot of strides last year. Needs to make a couple more. Christian Anderson, I think, is going to be one of the darlings of this sophomore breakout class. Incredible FIBA showing with Germany. And I think he's going to get the chance to kind of run the show with Tech and play more of that point guard role, where obviously last year he's playing more of a two guard, playing off of Elijah Hawkins, but the playmaking, the shooting, the scoring versatility, it's all taken a major, major jump in the last year. So I'm very excited to see him this year.
Yeah. Watts has a lot of fans. It seems like a lot of people are trying to circle the wagons on that one to kind of get the early jump, but it's not possible in scouting because there's always someone that's ahead of you. Anderson's going to be really fun. I can't wait to see him. But, man, JT Toppin, I could not be more pumped up about, because I don't know if I need to start a fan club or something, but he is just a productive beast around the basket. So I'm hoping he takes another step, because I really think at some point we got to just be like, this dude just is a beast down there. I just would like him to take like one more step with his game. I don't need him to be a 3-point shooter, or, I just add a little bit more, add another wrinkle. He should be a monster this year, though. So Texas Tech's going to be fun. Be a tough team.
Yeah. Brian, like Toppin was just under 33% from three last year. I think if he maintains that number but ups the volume a little bit, then I think that's almost as valuable, because then it's like, all right, well, if defenders have to start coming out on you? Are you going to show a little bit more? Not that he's ever really going to be asked to do that in the NBA, but I mean, his efficiency across the board is just insane. And I thought his passing took a big jump last year too. So if that follows suit this year, I think they could be really, really fun.
He was
Sorry, go
just
ahead.
having like to end the year, he was having some games where you're like, oh my goodness, look at these. These are
Yeah.
video game numbers when it came to just like rebounding and points. Like a double OT ASU game, he had 41 and 15, which is like, you know, everyone was doing that against ASU. But 32 and 12 against Oklahoma State. 30 and 14 against Colorado, 25, 11, 4 and 3 against ASU. Gosh, I love that he was just destroying ASU. 26 and 10 with 3
Tough
blocks
pod
against
for
Baylor.
ASU.
Yeah, tough pod for Sun Devils. But, you know, NCAA tournament, when they got in there, he had 3 straight games of 20 plus points and double-digit rebounds. So, hey, add a little bit to the game. I think he took a nice step last year, and should be a really good season for him. And I think he's got a chance, Metcalf, to take advantage of like this big class. Like he could be one of those top, you know, hey, not the sexiest upside, but you know what you're going to get. I'm going to rebound and be a factor around the basket. So that's all I got for Texas Tech.
UCF, probably another
Oof.
quick one.
Oof.
In case you were curious, that's where Riley Kugel will be playing basketball this year. Another team just where they basically turned over their entire roster, and I'm not super pumped about most of it, unfortunately.
Their whole rosters is expected to depart, and like it's the longest incoming transfers I've ever seen. It's just everyone's a transfer. So,
And
yeah,
John Bull, former 5-star or 4-star recruit, transferring from Ole Miss, where he averaged 1.1 points per game. Maybe this is his opportunity to be a bit of a reclamation project, but yeah, I think UCF could unfortunately be kind of rough this year.
Yeah, it seems like a rough year. I'm trying to even give one that I was like, oh, maybe Themis Folks.
Yeah.
14.6 points per game at Milwaukee. Grad senior. That's about it. But yes, I think everyone was wondering where Riley Kugel was playing. So that's where Riley Kugel's next stop is.
And now we know. All right, to wrap things up, West Virginia.
Utah.
Utah, excuse me.
Yeah, come on. Can't
Skip.
skip Utah. They'll get pissed
Who
at us.
outlines when you can ignore it? Where do you want to go with Utah?
I only had Terrence Brown, I think, is a little interesting transfer. He had 20.6 points per game at Fairleigh Dickinson. He's going to be a junior. 6'3", 175. I feel the 175 is very, very favorable. He's skinny, but he's weird that it's so skinny, but he's fearless getting downhill. He's really slippery through traffic. There's some stuff to his game that like you shouldn't ignore. He should be fun for Utah, but like the 3-point shot's not broken. It's just I think his upper body's so thin that he kind of has like a side push shot. So needs to put on some weight, but can play. One of those like, hey, there's a lot of stuff in his game. If he could add some strengths, things might unravel in a positive way real quick. And then Ja'Kai Howard.
Yeah, that's the only name I had.
You know, whenever you're doing these previews, you get to a name and you're like, he's there. That was the Ja'Kai Howard reaction I had. Oh, Auburn to Utah, huh? I saw that kid at OTE with Thompson twins, and I was just like, I hope his head's on straight because he has so much potential and talent.
Hopefully a new setting unlocks
Utah
it.
changes.
Fingers crossed. All right, now to wrap things up before predictions. But West Virginia, again, another team where it's an entirely new roster. They lost their coach, they lost their point guard, they lost their wing, they lost their power forward, their shooting guard, their centers, their bench, their depth. Not loving the incoming roster. Unfortunately, I think Trayson Eaglestaff, transfer from North Dakota, is an interesting name. Had some stretches last year, a little inconsistent, but put up some big numbers at times. And then Brennan Lorient was a guy coming in from North Texas that I was really intrigued with last year. Just the combination of defense and passing. I have a type if you haven't been able to catch on yet. But I thought he showed some fun stuff that could probably be could probably take over a lot of that Hansberry Okani production and role type stuff from last year.
Can't believe we didn't get like a country road solo from you. Almost heaven, West
Yeah,
Virginia.
everyone knows how musically gifted I am.
Yeah, Eaglestaff's probably going to be the name to keep an eye on. Put up some big numbers at North Dakota, just in terms of like he can be a bucket. A lot of transfers. It's always tough with guys where it's like the staff's all gone too. Correct?
Yeah.
DeVries left with so new staff. They're trying to build the foundation. Get a lot of transfers that are trying to go up. Sometimes that produces some surprising results, but it's just a lot of names where you're trying to be like, okay, who's gonna cement himself? And like we're saying with a lot of these teams, it's sometimes you get these transfers. It's like, oh, all of a sudden they gelled pretty quick and they're scrappy and really fun. So, but yeah, you see the players that are leaving and you're like, this is a tough thing to replace right away.
Yeah. It's a lot of production and a lot of experience too.
Well, I was getting ready for, I think I'm prepping for another one. Hansberry was like leaving and I was like, oh
yeah,
I was intrigued still with Hansberry as like a depth piece. So yeah, it's a tough one, but
yeah.
Go Mountaineers. All right, Metcalf, hit me with the awards.
Prediction time.
Prediction.
Regular season winner. Who you got?
Houston.
Ooh, I'm going Texas Tech.
Okay.
I think this could be one of the closer races. Houston, Kansas, Texas Tech.
I know Samson might have his best team
maybe
in a long time. I think he's got a backcourt back that are dogs that proved it last year. He's got a freak of nature defender that doesn't need to score.
Yeah.
I think if Harwell can be a floor spacer and buy in,
if Harwell hits, if Senek hits,
and they don't need to fully hit. You don't need to hit a grand slam with it. You just need to get like a double out of both of them. I think they could be so balanced.
Yeah.
And then if you could have, Kingston as your just go in and get buckets. I think that could be fun. But I like your Texas Tech.
I think it's a good shout. Conference player of the year.
AJ.
Oh, I went JT Toppin.
That's actually probably a better bet. I like that. So I have freshman of the year AJ too.
I went AJ too. I originally had Darren, but I think AJ is going to put up bigger numbers.
Yeah, I don't like my next pick, but go ahead. Who'd you have for best transfer?
I went Robert Wright.
That's okay. I did same team. Everyone's gonna think I'm a BYU fan. I did Kennard Davis.
Oh,
but I think Robert Wright's gonna be better because he's gonna have better numbers. But I think Kennard Davis is gonna be like the Hoopers are gonna be like, that was a really important transfer.
Call me a casual. Classic.
No, it's just like I think everyone will be like, I feel like he's like the Jay Crowder of that team. Or, like he's like you really need that guy to help everybody else thrive. Most improved. Go ahead.
I'm guessing you went Richie Saunders, given your trend here.
No, I went Christian Anderson.
I said Christian Anderson too.
Okay, good.
Highest draft pick. I went Darren.
I put Darren too.
Okay. I think the only answers there are Darren or AJ, and they're probably going 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah, my only philosophy behind that was like team. Maybe a team wants Darren instead of AJ. Yeah. Could be either way. I don't think it's gonna make much difference.
All right. Whew. Another long one. Good one though. Next week we got NBA breakout candidates coming up because training camps are right around the corner. Good Lord. We're almost there. And then after that, we're going into mid-major previews, and then we're going to finish up until opening week with previewing every conference. So we're going to try and cover as many guys as we can. So make sure to stick around, check all those out in the coming weeks. We did the Big Ten preview last week as well. If you missed it, go check it out. But until then, he is Tyler Rucker. You can follow him at Tyler_Rucker. I'm Tyler Metcalf. You can follow me at Team Metcalf 11. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to rate, review, subscribe, all that good stuff. Until next time, see you.